Thank you so much for joining us for our careers webinar today, which is Shaping Your Career for the Future Workplace. My name is Karin Lanigan. I'm Head of Member Experience here with Chartered Accountants Ireland, and I've worked with Chartered Accountants for over 15 years, specifically supporting members with their career and professional development. I'd just like to apologise that we don't have video this morning, and unfortunately we just had some technical issues with that, so it'll just be voice for this morning, and then slides. So our webinar is due to take about an hour today. Feel free to add any questions that you might have to the Q&A box. I'm more than happy to take any questions and queries that you might have, or indeed if you would like to contact me afterwards, more specifically in relation to questions or queries, or for a confidential career discussion, more than happy to hear from you. So what are we going to cover today? So we're going to talk about the drivers of change within the profession and how that impacts on the careers of chartered accountants, and looking at that through the lens of the career opportunities that are likely to come up within the profession in the coming years, and the skills and competencies that you will then need to capitalize on these opportunities, and how you stay relevant in what is a very dynamic work environment, so that you can position yourself for career success going forward. You don't have to do this on your own. We are here to support you through the Institute Career Service. So I'll outline how we can do that, and also through our Thrive wellbeing support as well. So let's get started. If we look at the world that we're all living in, it obviously comes as no surprise that we're living in what many have referred to as the VUCA world. So it's full of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and of course it is very much ambiguous. All you have to do is look at the headlines, particularly over the last 2 years, in terms of the uncertainty that's out there, whether it's from the pandemic, the changing work environments and cultures. And that is causing people to really look and reevaluate, reprioritize their career choices and decisions and priorities. Obviously, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and then this is all, I suppose, kind of underpinned then by changes in technology, digitalization, like AI, artificial intelligence, robotics. Not to mention then obviously the climate challenges and the big focus, rightly so, in terms of sustainability, ESG goals, and diversity and inclusion. So there's so much going on around us at all, and it obviously impacts on the changing role of a chartered accountant and the opportunities that are going to arise. So how is the role of a chartered accountant changing? Well, essentially, technology is now acting as an enabler, and when we survey members, they're not threatened by technology. They see this as an enabler and an opportunity, and it's an opportunity, I suppose, to get away from the transaction side of the day-to-day elements of finance, more into that kind of area of transformation, adding value, and being that trusted advisor. So it's very much in that business partnering space. So you're using technology to enable, providing extra insights to the organization, being able to get more involved in the business, and using a diverse range of skills. So it really is, I suppose, leveraging technology to enable you to be part of, I suppose, helping businesses to adapt to more sustainable practices, and to help them meet their long-term goals and objectives. So there's an opportunity there for chartered accountants to play a leading role there in terms of, as I said, being that trusted advisor, business partner, and then using technology as that enabler. So what might those roles and opportunities look like? So we're seeing board opportunities and board roles coming up for members to contribute at a very senior, high level, and driving the change and strategy at board level. Similarly, opportunities and roles at financial controller, FD, and CFO level. I was speaking to a member yesterday who's interviewing for a CFO role, and the role was very much about the commerciality of the business, growing the business, not just in Ireland, but the global footprint, using systems to help them do that, leveraging their commercial knowledge of the system. So we're actually seeing these positions coming up, and where members are partnering with the business. It's all underpinned by, data, the financial planning and analysis, that forward, future looking I suppose, skill set, and also then getting involved in the area of project management. And those projects can be really diverse, from IT implementations to, I suppose, kind of business model reviews. And also as well, our members are getting more and more involved in the whole area of sustainability, whether that's in an advisory role, an assurance role, or helping businesses to meet their sustainability objectives. And obviously then there are changes, happening within other areas as well, whether it's tax or, that kind of next generation of audit. So there are really exciting opportunities coming up, many of which we haven't even, heard of, or that may not even exist as yet, and that we'll only see coming to fruition as we move forward. So really, speaking of moving forward, a lot of roles now have that future focus. There are wider reporting requirements. So you're not looking just at, kind of financial, metrics and KPIs. They extend more broadly to non-financial metrics, and the emphasis is on very much adding value. So you as chartered accountants and the profession, have the opportunity now to become and develop that I suppose, opportunity of being, trusted with the guardianship of businesses from a much broader perspective. So again, sustainability, diversity and inclusion, environmental reporting, that's where, some of the, I suppose, hotspots in terms of opportunities, but in general, it is the opportunity to be at the forefront of businesses as they grow and to develop, and as they meet the, I suppose, ever increasing challenges out there for them. So, the future is bright. And I like this quote by Albert Einstein, where he says, "Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value." So I think if you focus on how you would add value within the organization, naturally then you will be successful. You'll be recognized for making a difference. You'll feel more fulfilled in terms of, I suppose, your career, and the fact that you are, making a difference and adding value within the organization. So it is essentially, looking at where you as a chartered accountant can add value within your role and within your organization. So moving on then, we need to consider what are the skills and competencies required of a chartered accountant. And this is something as your membership organization, we are looking at constantly to make sure that we are providing the training and support that helps our members to stay relevant within this VUCA world. So as we said, that volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous environment. So to kind of break it down, what I've done is looked at the VUCA world in terms of the skills requirements that employers are looking for in the current environment. So if we look at it from the four kind of key skills, and I'm going to look at these in a little bit more detail and break them down for you, but the first is vision. Then we have understanding, clarity and agility. So if we take vision firstly as the first skill that we're referring to here, we mentioned there that forward looking. So it's the ability for you to be able to take a strategic and future focus, and not just I suppose finger in the air stuff, but it's looking at the data and the trends, being curious about that data and what it means, using your analytical and data skills to kind of, I suppose, project forward, to look into the future and help the business plan using that critical thinking and decision making process. I was speaking with a member in an SME environment just recently, and he was talking about the trends that he's seeing in the small hospitality business that he's involved with, and it was all about the key trends, the customer behavior, consumer behavior, and how that was going to drive his business going forward, or what the threats and risks were going to be in relation to that as well. So it is all about that analytical thinking and using the data to drive those decisions, but at the same time, having that sense of creativity, innovation, and thinking, well, look, what can I do differently here? How can I use the data that I have to drive decisions that will be innovative, that will help to drive the business forward? And the important thing here then is being able to leverage your communication skills to articulate that vision. So there's no point in obviously having this great vision if you can't bring that to life, whether it's in the boardroom, around the management table, but being able to articulate that. So whether that's in I suppose just in verbal format, or whether you're using the likes of Power BI or other data analysis tools to bring that to life. So it's all about the leadership, bringing bringing that to life for your team, and bringing your team and the the stakeholders with you on that journey, so they buy into that vision that you have for the future. So that's vision, and how you I suppose the areas that you need to focus on to develop those skills. Moving on then, it's understanding. And what I mean about this is there's two elements to this. There's the comprehending the business and the commercial reality. So understanding the business itself, the environment in which it operates, the kind of the commercial realities and the macro and micro I suppose economic factors, and really understanding the needs of your stakeholders, understanding what those trends mean for the business and the organization that you work within, but also as well for your career plans, and looking at that in a very strategic way to kind of say, well, look, what do these changes, what do these commercial realities mean for me by way of career plans? And again, speaking with a member yesterday who was looking at a particular CFO role, he was looking to say, well, where are the opportunities for the organization in terms of growth? How can I make those happen for the organization? And if they happen for the organization and they go from 5 million turnover to 10 to 20 to 30, what does that mean for my career? So that is I suppose the lens that you need to be looking at this through, to kind of say, right, well, the trends of the business, how can I suppose plot out my career, or the sector, based on the opportunities that come up. So that's that business and commercial understanding. We also have that empathetic or empathy and understanding of others and how you relate to others, that impact you have on others, the impact others have on you. So it's that self-awareness and being able to identify with others and understand their point of view. And Tony Robbins has a really interesting way of putting this in terms of empathetic leaders take a genuine interest in people, what makes them tick, what inspires them, and the way they feel. So this is about understanding your own motivations, understanding the motivations of others around you, how you can best motivate and lead them. So it's really important to kind of understand that leadership style, understand your own level of empathy, look at developing that, and also with that in mind, it's I suppose focusing on kind of diversity and inclusion, that diversity of thinking and talent and skills within your team, so that you kind of understand how you can leverage those kind of opportunities and the skill set and the potential that you might have in your team, and you as a leader, how you can maximize that potential for yourself and for your team. And also building that resilience, because we all need an extra layer of resilience in the current environment, where there are lots of challenges, there's peaks and troughs. So it is about making sure that you're looking after yourself, and there's a focus on self-care for yourself and for the others around you as well. So that's understanding from a commercial perspective, but also from an empathetic leadership perspective. Moving on then to clarity. And clarity is really important, both from your own kind of, I suppose, personal and professional perspective, but also in terms of the organization that you're working within, and having clarity for those around you as well. So when I say clarity of purpose, it's about providing a roadmap and kind of motivation, both for yourself and your team, because we all need to know, why are we doing this? Where are we going? What are the objectives? Where are we trying to get to? And just having that clarity in relation to your own career and also like what it is you're looking to do within the organization, and having that clarity for others. And particularly, you know, if you're in a crisis management situation or challenging times, it's getting from that kind of chaos to clarity. And I suppose we've all seen how beneficial that can be, like through, I suppose, throughout the pandemic. We're also then, I suppose, using the analytical and critical thinking skills, you know, that data-rich kind of decision-making to really help to get that clarity that you need. And it's also, I suppose, being curious about what's going on around you, digging into kind of things that are going on, digging into the trends, the analysis, to get that better sense of clarity and understanding, I suppose, you know, sometimes what the story behind the numbers is. What is the data telling you? What do we know here? And again, like I said to you before, it's about being able to you know, leverage then your communication skills to communicate in a very clear and very concise way. So it's, I suppose it is about gaining that clarity of purpose for yourself, for the organization, and people around you, and you know, not being afraid to ask questions and to delve really deeply. So whether that's around the management table, or whether it's when you're having, I suppose, career or coaching conversations with your team, to really understand what it is, you know, that kind of motivates them, you know, what it'll take to get them fully on board and to maximize their potential. So just a reminder, if there are any questions, do pop them into the Q&A. More than happy to deal with those, either as I'm going along, or indeed at the end. So finally then, agility. So I'm sure you've all heard about, you know, the need to be agile and flexible, and to I suppose essentially adapt to new situations and new scenarios as they arise, or indeed to get involved in new projects. You know, so to be agile, to be able to look and say, you know, how can I apply my skills in a new opportunity or in a new role? How can I leverage new projects and new opportunities to position myself for future career moves or pivots and swerves? Michelle Obama talks about career swerves, you know, that like everything isn't all about, you know, that straightforward trajectory to the top. And we often talk about career ladders, but that often isn't the reality for a lot of people, that it isn't always a straight trajectory to the top, that there can be kind of sideways and lateral moves that benefit your career, give you an opportunity to build on new skill sets, new experiences, and then that you use those then to move forward again. So it's being able to adapt and, you know, take the opportunities that career pivots and swerves might you know, present, and look then to apply the skills in a new way. And it's also about being able to, if things don't go well, and sometimes that does happen through no fault of anybody's, it's very rarely that I don't see a CV where there's been some blip or some aspect of a role that hasn't gone well, but it's all about how you bounce back, how you dust yourself off, what you learn from that scenario, and having that behavioral flexibility then to be able to move forward and to adjust with the scenarios that arise, and dealing with that ambiguity and uncertainty in a positive way, and looking at this through, you know, growth and a positive mindset, and look at it in terms of the opportunities. And that's what employers are looking for, is that positive mindset, and somebody who can deal, yes, with pressures and strains, and, you know, who can look at it in the context of opportunity. So that gives you a summary of the key skills that, you know, are required and that we're seeing employers value and employers are looking for in the current environment. That's not to say, of course, that like technical skills aren't important. I haven't touched on those to a huge extent, but I'm kind of going on the basis that they're a given, and it's more than, you know, that kind of next layer of skills, and those soft skills that are often referred to, that are I suppose the key things in terms of driving your career forward. So how do you stay relevant then in this changing environment? You might say to me, look, gosh, look, there's all of those skills. How can I possibly manage to develop those whilst I'm in a busy role? And that's a question that we're asked all of the time. How do I get the time, Karen? Where do I fit it all in? So I have some suggestions for you in terms of how you might do that. So the first thing to do is to get a really good sense of, what your core skills and competencies are. And we all have skills that we're naturally good at, and where we excel, and where we might have, I suppose, the edge over others, and where we might be recognized for specific skills. So it's really just having that clarity in your own mind in terms of what those are. And if you're not sure, a good way to do this is to think about your recent accomplishments or achievements, or even take, a list of 5 of those core accomplishments and achievements throughout your career. So it could be, qualifying initially as a chartered accountant, then, getting promoted to manager, and being asked to go on a secondment, for example. It might also be, being tapped on the shoulder to take a lead role in a project. So you write those down in terms of your core accomplishments. Then you ask yourself, what are the skills that I needed to actually accomplish what I did? So you do that for each of those. So for, qualifying as a chartered accountant, it might be, focus, determination, numeric and analytical capability. And then you look at the next accomplishment and the other one again and again, and look at each of them. And very quickly, what you're going to see is that there is a trend, and the data is going to show you that there are core skills that you have demonstrated throughout your career. So you'll very quickly see, I suppose, a kind of a bank, shall we say, of those core skills that you have. And what I'm suggesting here is that you're really familiar with those, you're comfortable with those, and you look for opportunities where you can develop those even further and play to those strengths. So look for opportunities within your career, whether it's within your existing role or elsewhere, to leverage those skills, to use those. So, for example, if you have strong commercial capability, then being in a pure financial reporting role is not going to play to your strengths, for example. So you might look at a role that has more of a commercial dimension to it, that might bring you more into the realms of financial planning and analysis and strategy and wider business development. So it's really knowing what those skills are and playing to your strengths. To help you do that, we do have a tool on our website, which is the Career Pathway tool, and it breaks down the skills requirements depending on the level that you're at, whether it's newly qualified, early stage career, FCA, or indeed into that C-suite space as well. So I would suggest having a look at that to help you kind of identify, because sometimes I find that we can struggle with the terminology and how you articulate those skills, so that this competency framework will give you that support and that terminology. And really, like, I suppose that we're in that era of continuous learning, and what we're finding is the skill sets are becoming obsolete more quickly than they might have done before. So it really is important that you kind of keep up to date with the skills requirements. As I mentioned earlier, it's not just about the technical side, it is about those softer leadership skills that are really important. And then leveraging IT, as we've touched on already. You don't need to be an IT guru, but you do need to understand how IT technology and systems can be enablers for a business. And there were good examples of that at the virtual CPD update last week, where members from a range of different backgrounds talked about how they use IT as an enabler within their business to scale it, to provide a better customer experience. So it definitely is an area to focus in on. And the great thing is that learning is more accessible now in a virtual world. Like, for example, we've moved 70 to 80% of the CPD offering online to make it more accessible to members. So it is there at your fingertips. So it is all about looking to say, right, well, what are the skills that I have that I can develop further? Also looking at it in terms of the gaps and how you might, to bridge those gaps and plug any gaps that you might have in certain areas. And again, the competency framework can help you do that. And it's a good time actually in the current environment where employers are looking to attract and retain talent, they are much more open to investing in personal and professional development. So it's a good time to be going to I suppose speak to your employer in terms of how they might help you and how they might support you in terms of your personal and professional development. So don't be afraid, to go to them even towards the end of the year when you're planning out the review or year-end conversations and you're planning for next year. Have a think about what that career development plan might look like for you. And it's not about just doing, I suppose, courses or focusing on development just for the sake of it. It should naturally align to where you see your career going. So it's mapping that out and then mapping out your career and your personal development goals to align with that. So it's really just thinking about your career ambitions and plans, and then deciding on the various activities and courses, etc., that you want to leverage to meet those personal development goals. Now, it's not all about courses. There are lots of different ways to learn and to develop as a professional. One of those ways is to volunteer. So whether that's getting involved in a charity or other charitable activities outside of work. So for example, I know members who have gotten involved as a treasurer, for example, as maybe their local tennis club or GAA club, also maybe getting involved in fundraising activities. So it's a great way to get involved in other areas, to maybe use different skills that you mightn't have used before. Also joining a board of a charity or not-for-profit organisation, or like a board of a commercial organisation can be very beneficial, particularly at a kind of mid to later stage of your career, because again, you get a different level of experience, different level of exposure, and it also helps you to build out your network, which is really important as you build out your career, because you'll find, once you get to a senior level, a lot of the roles and opportunities are filled through word of mouth. So it's really important to have that access to the to a network. The other thing is to get involved with the institute. So whether that's as part of the Young Professionals Committee, the various different district societies that are like the Leinster Society, and arranged dotted right around the country and internationally as well. So again, that can be a good way to connect with other members and invest that time in building out your network. The other thing is to consider projects. So there might be projects that come up within your organisation that present an opportunity for you to get to know others within the organisation, build out your profile within the organisation, and to be seen outside of your core area. So for example, your core area may be finance, but there could be an opportunity to get involved in a sustainability related project, or something within diversity and inclusion, for example. So it's a great opportunity to be seen outside of your main role, and that people will see that you have more to offer and a wider skill set to bring to the table, rather than just the pure finance side of things. So it's definitely worth looking at in terms of how you get that exposure, what you can learn from the projects, because all of these experiences will build out your skill set, and without actually even realizing it, you'll be learning as you're involved in the activities. And try and align I suppose what you're doing with interests that you have, so that it is enjoyable, you're really engaged with it, it's fun, as well as obviously helping you to develop both personally and professionally. The other way to learn and to develop is to find a mentor. And you will find from speaking to very successful members and professionals that very often they have had that support of a trusted mentor, and somebody that is going to motivate them, that is going to share their insights, that gives them that extra little nudge or push, or that extra encouragement and that can sometimes be needed, particularly if you've just been promoted, or and you are struggling a little bit to kind of adapt, or where there's that big step up and learning curve. A mentor can often help you to kind of just break through that difficult few weeks or months as you adjust. They're often a really good sounding board to help you to kind of articulate how you're feeling. They can share how they've dealt with similar situations in the past, give you some really good feedback in terms of how you're getting on, and also as well put a little bit of pressure on you, I suppose, to see what you can do to kind of change things, or see what you can do to make the most of the opportunity. And it's a really nice feeling to know that you have somebody there who is impartial, who takes an interest in you, who wants you to do well, and who wants to see you being a success. So it gives you that extra sense of security, and having that mentor in your camp can really help. Now, we do have a career mentor program here through the Institute. So if you are interested in engaging a mentor, we're very happy to connect you with a mentor. So you can email me afterwards to careers@charteredaccountants.ie, and you will also see the details of the mentor program on our website. It's interesting when I did a bit of research just around mentorships and I suppose the origins of it and how successful it has been. It was really interesting to see that Warren Buffett was a mentor for Bill Gates, and we know how successful they have both been. Steve Jobs mentored Mark Zuckerberg, so again another I suppose success story. So like they're just, I suppose, high profile, but I see it again and again and again where members supporting each other has a benefit and has a value. And like we have a panel of over 150 mentors, and the reason they have signed up to be mentors is that they genuinely want to support other members of the profession and to give something back, and to share their I suppose experiences. And as it says here, is like to share their insights and their hindsight, so that can, I suppose, be your foresight. So to kind of learn from their experiences as such. So do reach out to me if you'd like to engage a mentor. We're more than happy to facilitate that process. I mentioned earlier about getting involved in projects, and I just want to stress this again because it is really important to look at that, because a lot of organizations now are very project driven because there's a lot going on, and they tend to break things down into kind of projects. So it's a great opportunity to learn new skills, increase your visibility and recognition within the organization, get a better sense of the different areas of the business, and get I suppose a helicopter view or a broader view of the organization. And you'll find that project management skills are very much in demand. And I know through our recruitment service here that very often when we're looking at job specs, they are looking for that kind of project management exposure and skills. And it really can open up new options and new avenues for you from a career perspective. So moving on then, I just want to touch on how you best position yourself for career success. So essentially, if we say, right, you've got the skills, you've got the experience, but how do you then make the most of it and position yourself so that you can take advantage of those career opportunities that come up? So we mentioned clarity earlier, and it really is very important that you switch on your own internal kind of GPS and spend time really thinking about where is it you want your career journey to take you, what's motivating you, what's important to you, where do you see yourself? And I know that sounds a bit cliche, and it is, like, it's very difficult in the current environment and current world to plot 5-10 years down the track, because things are moving so quickly. But even if you were to say to yourself, look, by the end of the year, this is where I want to be, or by the end of next year, this is what I would have liked to achieve, because it just maps things out. It gives you that clarity, gives you that vision, and it gives you a sense of control, because you're much more likely to achieve what you'd set out to achieve if you know exactly where you're going, rather than kind of drifting along and just taking things as it comes. So it's you'll feel much more energized and motivated and focused if you're proactively taking control of your career. Some of the areas to think about, and these are based on what we would see as being important to members in recent times, just from our career conversations with them. Work-life balance. So it's about understanding what works for you. What kind of flexibility do you need? Some of us need more flexibility than others. So it's really looking at that and saying, well, what works for me? What's sustainable? What works around my commitments outside of work? As I mentioned, then it's job satisfaction. What is it that makes you tick? What will get you out of bed in the morning and make you feel motivated? It's that focus on continuous learning and challenging you. What is it that challenges you? What's important to you? Is career progression important? For some it is, others it's not. Like, they're quite happy to go in, do a really good job in an interesting role, but they're not looking to become CFO or CEO anytime soon. And that's totally fine if that's what works for you. But you need to have clarity around that. For others, for some, seniority is important and title is important. Others, they're not really that bothered once their role is interesting, challenging. And what we're seeing now is that there is that reprioritization, as I said, that reevaluation. So it's looking at things more holistically. It's not just about your professional life. It's about that combination, and how your personal life and your professional life intertwine, and how they can coexist in a space where you're comfortable, and you have that opportunity to have a work-life balance that works for you. So it's really important that you get your head around that and understand what works for you. I'm not going to, this next diagram, there's a lot in it, and to be honest, I don't have the time to go through it all, but essentially there's a couple of key steps that you need to focus on if you're looking at kind of developing out a career plan. So the first is just, as we've said before, knowing yourself, what motivates you. Also then, number two is kind of exploring the options. So being aware of what's happening out in the market, what job opportunities are coming up, where the career path, where are the options for you. It's speaking with the mentor, it's speaking with the likes of the career service here, or contacts you might have in the recruitment sector to find out what the opportunities are, what's happening in the market. The next then is drafting that career plan and your professional development plan. As we said earlier, it's aligning your professional development with your career plan, and making sure that your professional development supports that career plan. And then moving forward, then it's basically putting that all into action. So whether that's sending out what the opportunities are within your current organisation, speaking to your manager or HR in relation to what that career trajectory is for you within the organisation, or if that's not an option, or you decide you want to move, then it's looking at it's with the tools that you need to facilitate that. So it's CV preparation, interview preparation, personal branding, networking, etc., which we're going to touch on now, and how you I suppose leverage those activities to find your next opportunity. So it does look quite complex when you see it there, and I do appreciate it. It's a busy slide, but if you break it down kind of step by step, it does make what can be a quite daunting process a little bit easier, just to kind of chunk it down into shorter steps that you can follow. And we'll be sending on slides too afterwards, so you'll have access to that slide afterwards. So essentially, what I suppose what's important here is being open to all opportunities and keeping an open mind. And as I say here, like, success is a process rather than an achievement. So you'll hit different milestones along the way. So it's kind of, as I said earlier, breaking that down. You may find that you'll have like multiple careers in a working life, because I suppose the days where you go into a certain role or a certain job and you're there for life, they're practically gone now. So you will find that there'll be potentially different phases of your career and different twists and turns as you go along. And what we're finding increasingly is that members are choosing to take a career break for family reasons, whether it's for children or looking after elderly parents. They're stepping off the career trajectory altogether, or they're deciding just to hold things at a certain level to give themselves a bit of breathing space, and then maybe putting the foot on the pedal again at a later stage. So it is all about those career swerves and changes that are really important. But it's about being brave and looking at opportunities that might open up new avenues for you, and kind of trusting in your qualification, your ability to be able to to kind of meet those opportunities head on and make the most of them, and just be open to that opportunity essentially is what I'm saying. So moving on then, and this really, I suppose I've touched on this before, which is all about that positive mindset and being in that growth mindset, rather than a fixed mindset and kind of saying, gosh, no, I couldn't do that, and look, I don't have the skills for that. It's really saying, no, actually, do you know what? I can do that. This is an opportunity for me now to grow. It's an opportunity for me to challenge myself. It's an opportunity to take on something new. It's an opportunity to take on feedback and to develop that feedback, and it really to develop that growth, that personal positive mindset. And part of that can be taking those kind of lateral moves, because as I said earlier, not all career moves are necessarily upwards. They can be sideways moves. So it's looking at those opportunities that could come up that you mightn't have thought of, that you go, oh, hold on a minute, this actually could present me with an opportunity. So what I'd say is, don't discount anything without actually looking at it and kind of saying, okay, how would that work for me? Or how would that position me going forward? What will I learn? What skills can I add to my repertoire as a result? How can this boost my confidence in myself? How will it improve the I suppose how I'm viewed within the organisation? And it can be a great way just to take on a new challenge, revitalize yourself, revitalize your career. So what I would say is, be open to these things, explore them. And as Richard Branson so eloquently put it, if someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure you can do it, say yes, and then learn how to do it later. And the world is such that as new opportunities arise and new roles come up that haven't been created before, you're not going to have all of the skills that are required straight off. So sustainability, for example, we're all learning in that space. Diversity and inclusion is another area, but you're applying a core skill set in a new way, and you're learning as you go. So it's just about embracing that. What can be sometimes a fear factor, but going with it and making the most of it as you do so. So in terms of positioning yourself for career success, one of the key things is to appreciate the importance of visibility over ability. And this is a really interesting model called the PI model, which breaks down the recipe for success. And what they're saying here is that performance is only 10% of that. And it's kind of, and I suppose the reason it is 10% is because it's taken as a given. But really to move your career forward and make it to the next level, you do need that exposure, and also to have that image. And what I mean by image is that you can hold your own at a kind of senior level, that people, kind of respect you, that you're trusted, and that, I suppose people can see you in that particular role, that you have the skill set, the ability, the presence, shall we say, to pull it off essentially. So it really is important that you have that visibility. Ability is more or less taken as a given at a certain level, but really is about that focus on exposure and image. And that leads me on nicely to that whole personal brand consideration and thinking about what your brand is. How do people view you? What are they saying about you when you leave the room? How would they describe you? And then when you're thinking about it too, in terms of what you want that brand to be, you're thinking about, well, what solutions do I provide? How do I add value? What is my differentiator or differentiators? And, I suppose, how can I then build that into a message? So it's worth thinking about and refining into a couple of short sentences what it is that you do, how you do it, and what impact you make, and how you deliver value within your role, so that if you have that opportunity to be able to articulate that, whether it's meeting the CEO in the elevator, or your I suppose the elevator pitch, as it were, you have that ready to articulate, and you also then can articulate that and I suppose craft it into an introduction or a professional profile paragraph, either for your CV or on your LinkedIn profile, which is ultimately your platform and your tool to help you to kind of network. So it's about having a strong profile on LinkedIn. It's about building up your connections. I would say go for quality over quantity, and making sure that you've got good quality connections, that you're following content in your particular space, you're sharing it, and you're building out that network and using the tool to help you to make those connections as you go through your career. So hopefully that has helped you to zone in on I suppose the skills that are required in the current environment, how you can leverage and develop those skills, how you then position yourself for success, either within your own organisation, or indeed if you're looking to build out from that. As I mentioned to you earlier, we do have a career development and recruitment service here through the Institute. Would really love for you to reach out to us, because we can help you in terms of careers advice, coaching, CV and interview preparation, and also then talking through the career mentor program and the competency map, as I mentioned. So please do reach out to us at careers@charteredaccountants.ie. So what I also want to take you through is some of our wellbeing supports as well, because we touched on self-care, well-being, and building resilience, and we do have supports in that space as well. So I'm just going to take you through these on behalf of my colleague Dee France. So we have Thrive, which is our well-being hub. So you will through that have access to a whole range of wellness content, including articles, and also a whole range of webinars that we have recorded with a whole host of expert speakers in their field. The concept behind Thrive is to support students and members at each stage of their journey. So from the time somebody registers with us as a student, right through to qualification, post-qualification, and also then for those who may have stepped out of the workplace. And in fact, myself and Dee are collaborating on a returners workshop in October. So for members who are looking to return to the workplace, and their supports there, and indeed then for members at a latter stage of their career. So it really is at all of those kind of key career stages, and there are a whole range of supports that we can provide to members. They are fully confidential, totally free of charge as part of your membership, as are the career services that I've mentioned. They're all free of charge as part of your membership. So in terms of Thrive, they offer a confidential listening service, access to professional counselling and wellness coaching, as I mentioned, the webinars, and they do have a dedicated team there who are there to support you. We do have a webinar coming up on the 4th of October, which will focus on stress busters and ways in which you can deal with stress, and really very practical tips and solutions to help you to deal with stress. As I mentioned, the dedicated website is there to help as well. So if you're looking to contact Dee and the team, it's the email is simply thrive@charteredaccountants.ie. There's also CA support, and some of you may know of CA support, and was traditionally known as the Benevolent Fund. So we do provide financial assistance for members who are I suppose experiencing financial difficulties. So whether that's through unemployment, illness, and they're unable to work, we do provide supports for members in that particular space. So just to recap, then you can contact MD at thrive@charteredaccountants.ie, or indeed CA support at charteredaccountants.ie. And just going back to the careers service then as well, you can contact us at careers@charteredaccountants.ie. So it's over to you now. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. And one of the questions that I'm getting a lot recently is just in terms of the opportunities in the market, and we're seeing that the job market is remaining buoyant at every level. So there are good opportunities out there, and that we are seeing I suppose a shift in terms of roles where we're actively seeing I suppose that focus on a lot of the skills that we mentioned there, focus on the analysis side, focus on the data and the interpretation, getting involved in strategy, because there's a lot more focus on strategy now for businesses, because they know, a bit like with your career plan, it is harder and harder to project forward for longer periods of time. So there's a lot more work on shorter strategic approaches, the impacts on business. Obviously, the cost of doing business is a big factor for organizations, and that constant change. So there's a big focus on projects and change management for sure. So definitely seeing those trends. So I'm not, bear with me a second, just seeing one question coming through there now. So happy to take any other questions that are coming through there now. Just to mention as well, just in terms of if you're looking at skills development and CPD, etc., we do have a full program from now till the end of December, the vast majority of which is online, so you can access that really easily. Plus also there will be networking opportunities through our district societies throughout the rest of the year as well. So good opportunity to engage with other members. Okay, so one of the questions I have here is, do you see much in the way of part-time roles? And absolutely, yes, we are seeing that, and that's actually one of the bigger trends that we've seen this year, is actually an increase in the number of part-time roles, and we're seeing part-time roles coming up in quite a number of them actually in the charity and not-for-profit sector. We're also seeing them coming up in industry in general, and what we're seeing is that businesses are where they maybe would have outsourced their finance function before, they're bringing it back in-house again because they want to be closer to financial information as the business and the organisation moves forward. So what they're doing is actually recruiting at a reasonably senior level. So when I'm in reasonably senior, I'm talking about, I suppose, a qualified accountant as opposed to a bookkeeper level, and somebody who can come in and support, I suppose, the interpretation of the information and support the management of the businesses as they grow the organisation forward. And we filled quite a number of those types of roles on a part-time basis with organisations, and many of those are open to considering applications from members who might have been on a career break for family or other reasons. So if that's a space you're interested in, do contact us, because we do have a range of supports there for members who are looking to return to work following a career break. We have a returners workshop that we're running in October, and then we dovetail that with our recruitment support. So yes, absolutely seeing great opportunities for part-time working, and also as well, the vast majority of roles we're seeing will have an element of hybrid working as well. So again, employers keen to attract talent, so they are willing to be flexible in terms of I suppose that working environment. So the question here as well is, where would I find information about board roles on offer? So just to let you know, we do have a job listing online on our website. So if you go into the main institute website, on the top right hand corner, you'll see a tab for jobs, and we advertise board roles in there as well. But if you're specifically interested in roles and want to have a further chat in relation to those, then just give me a quick call. But you will see those listed on our website. But do feel free to reach out to me separately. So thank you so much, everybody, for attending, and hopefully you found it useful. And as I said, do feel free to reach out to me directly at careers@charteredaccountants.ie. Thank you.